I want to start checking out my build that I have right now, and then I want to tell you guys a little bit about the plan that I have for this build. Because I had an idea going into it yesterday, knowing full well that it would change upon like actually playing the game. Now, a lot of things are staying similar, but there are some things where I'm like, oh man, I really like that idea. So I might make a few changes along the way. But before we do that, we can talk a little bit about the basics, okay? Talk a little bit about the basics. Let's see. So, in terms of the whole build, I still want to do a really like beefy, like super high strength stacking, like maybe even no mana slammer that relies on a big life pool and armor for defense, and then offense is going to be carried by the fact that we're wielding two-handed weapons and slamming like crazy. So that's kind of like the idea that I like here. I've always wanted to do a strength stacking character. It just like never really like made it happen. But in the beginning of early access, we don't even have swords or axes. All we have are maces, and maces are like pure strength requiring weapons. So you can just kind of go all in. And I have this cool MTX too. This is the shop. Now I want to do my MTX menu. I actually unkeybound it, so I need to like find it. What I could do, can you do body armor? Armor skin? Am I able to do the Marauder? I can't yet. Okay. I want to do the Marauder, but we can't do it yet, so I just have to deal with it. That's fine. But Marauder makes your character like look beefier and beefier as you stack strength. But anyway, to show you guys kind of what I have in mind, I can take a look at what I've done so far, because I want this to be like a two-part, like do a couple different things, right? I want to give you guys some tips. I want to give you guys a look at what I've done, and I want to give you a look at what I'm planning. So how I started my character was going straight through the melee damage side of things to make sure we have a little bit of damage to help get us started. But I do think that going to like the armor and or the regen even could be good. But what I might do is I might just dip down into here and grab this, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to dip up here and then go up to get this. But I decided to go ahead and grab the melee stuff. Later on, that might change. I might even just go strength. We'll see. But I went over here through the more melee damage and heavy stun enemies, taking melee damage along the way, and then we just start traveling. We start taking strength nodes and just traveling. I didn't get this until later, but you could get this if you don't have very much strength, because you are going to need quite a bit of strength to go all the way over here to get Giant's Blood, which allows you to dual wield two-handed weapons, but the attribute requirements of those weapons is now tripled, but you probably will have enough strength to wield them anyway. Then I did grab beef. I'm eventually going to probably grab all of these little nodes. Can we even see ascendancies at this point? No, that's fine. I'll show it to you later. I'm probably going to grab all these little strength nodes. And then I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with some points, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into armor, and then 15% of physical damage prevented, it was recouped as life. So that means that you heal for that life over like a period of time. 8 seconds, but you still get to give some passive healing, which is very important because I don't really have very much healing. I feel like my offense for this build has been fine. My defense is starting to get like I'm getting like chunked a lot. I don't just die a lot, but you get chunked a lot. So I want to try to get this recoup and see if that feels good. That's like some old school Juggernaut stuff, which is awesome. Another thing that I want to do after that is I want to start picking up armor stuff. I also want to start picking up things like heat proofing, where armor applies to fire damage taken from hits. So you'll mitigate fire damage with your armor and things like that. I'm gonna want to grab this. I may even come over here and grab like maximum life stuff. Start working on some of our defense, and that is gonna sort of lead us to me having a look at this real quick. I want to show you guys what I'm thinking over here. That even crops me out of the way, though, doesn't it? There we go. Can't have that. All right. So this is kind of what we started off with. I do want to eventually pick up unnatural resistance, but I don't have any fire resistance, so it doesn't really matter right now. But eventually, the more fire resistance you have, it's going to add up to +2 maximum fire resistance for every 40 fire resistance that you have. and it's uncapped, meaning that any stat of fire resistance that you have is uncapped. It just eventually will hit a cap of like 75%, and then you have to get additional max resistance to go above that. So that's how that works. But we have, I really might go all the way down here to grab this. This is 10% increased attributes. That might be really, really fun. It is a little bit of travel, but it could be really cool because we do want to stack strength, because once we're also stacked up, we're going to take nodes like this. Reduced max mana, but plus strength, and then you get even more reduced max mana, but you get 1% increased damage per 15 strength. That is so cool, so fun. So then you do all that stuff, and you're gonna pick up strength along the way. You're gonna pick up strength here, and I'm gonna probably grab some armor stuff because I want life, which is strength is life. I want armor, and then we're gonna scale a bunch of different things off armor. But one of the things that's changing with my idea of what I was gonna do, as I was planning on going for these big branches of hits or crushing blows and getting a bunch of stun buildup and stun damage. But what I really might do is, this is pretty silly, for the first Ascendancy, is just to go for this thing, Colossal Capacity, where you carry a chest which adds 20 inventory slots. Doesn't really sound awesome, but getting there gives you 4% increased strength. And it opens up the option for you to get another 4% increased strength, and then your second Ascendancy is Hulking Form. 50% increased effect of small passive skills. So not these, not the travel nodes, but everything else, like armor, and then remember, strength. All these things that give me strength are going to be giving me an additional 50% of all the small passive effect skills. So all the little stuff that we take to get to the bigger stuff is going to be another half of it added onto it. So we're going to be able to stack a tremendous amount of strength. Going to be able to stack a tremendous amount of armor. We could even mess around and get some maximum, like another half point of maximum resistance if it calculates like that. So it really opens up a lot of cool stuff. And it also means that we don't have to get pigeonholed into slams necessarily, even though I think slams are going to continue to be a big part of what I do. I just like the idea of building like this hulking mountain of muscle and strength and armor. I just love that idea, especially because I feel like my offense has been pretty good so far. It will likely fall off if we don't invest into it, but that's kind of an idea that I've had. And then I'm going to probably even take more life, just for the life regen, and then life. And then we could do just a chance to Aftershock. You'll have like a 30% chance to Aftershock if you take other things in the talent tree. And then, of course, increased AoE. You could also just do more armor from body armor. We'll have to see how much armor is helping me, because remember, armor is going to be giving me life recoup, and it's also going to be giving me reduced fire damage. So... And then there's other things that could happen where armor reduces the damage of other elemental, or you can take all damage of other elemental types as fire damage. Those things have been present in Path of Exile before. So it ends up becoming a really, really powerful thing to stack strength and armor for life, armor, and then also elemental reduction. So I love it when things have like shared interactions, right? And there's also all kinds of cool stuff that we could do with like stun damage. And those are the things that I'm going to look into later. But first things first, I kind of want to work my way into some of... I didn't want to do that. I want to work my way into some of those cool things. Maybe even working into polymathy. But that's what I want to do. My first 2 ascension points are going to be going into Colossal Capacity with the Strength Amp. And then Hulking Form to just get a whole bunch of just raw stats that will scale the higher level I get. Which is awesome. Probably just get more life maybe. Either 3rd or 4th. And then pick up this one either 3rd or 4th. Unless armor is insane and I just want to stack more armor, in which case I might even not even do the offense one. I might take all of this out and just go Stone Skin and get 50% more armor from equipped body armor, which doesn't really seem amazing to me at first, but it could be pretty good. And we'll see how it feels. But that's my plan for today, is start working my way into bolstering our defenses with more armor and seeing if we feel a little bit tankier as a result of that, getting more strength for health and more armor. And we're not going to be scaling my damage that much yet, but there's plenty of places to scale damage if we want to. But that's kind of the trajectory of the build that I'm thinking right now. Just a whole bunch of armor and strength and life scaling, letting our damage get carried by the fact that we can dual wield 2-handers for a while, and just slamming the heck out of people and stacking strength into the end game, which we will use to increase our damage per 15 strength. I just love that idea. I know that in Path of Exile 1, stacking strength as a league starter is not that great of an idea. So it likely will be rough, but it's just what I'm excited about, so I'm gonna go for it, and we're gonna see how it goes. Because all of this extra strength you get on these nodes, combined with the strength percent increase, and then make all of these little nodes get an extra 50% effect on them, just sounds awesome. Just making a really tanky, strong, beefy character that you can then play any skills with sounds pretty cool, especially as we're just first getting started in Path of Exile 2, which is crazy fun, by the way. In terms of my actual skills in the game, a lot of people have been asking about that too. I'm pretty much just picking everything. But I'll go through what I'm actually using. So I'm not using any one-hander stuff. On my Mace Strike, I'm making it do a little bit of extra fire damage, and I'm making it give me Rage. Rage is just a stacking damage buff, and if you want to ever look and see what any of these things are, you just press Alt by default, and then you can read what each of these things actually means, right? So that's cool. With Rolling Slam, I'm making it generate a little bit more stun, and I'm making it deal no elemental damage, but just extra physical damage. I don't know if I like that. I might change that, but that's where I'm at right now. I don't think I deal much elemental damage anyway, though, so I don't think it's a huge deal. Let's see, you can find that on here somewhere. Like, is Earthquake dealing any elemental damage at all? I don't think so. So it's not a big deal. But that's what I'm doing. And if you guys didn't know, you can go over here and you can say that you only ever want a Rolling Slam with, like, your weapon set number 1. So my weapon set number 1 is my dual-wield two-handers. So I only ever want to Rolling Slam with those, so it'll automatically swap into those weapons when you go to Rolling Slam, which is pretty cool. So it's like a weapon swap macro from WoW, except you don't have to do it in a macro, you just have to select it. With Earthquake, I'm having it have less duration, which means it sort of sits there cooking for less time, so it explodes more quickly. And then I have that matched up with Fist of War, which is just, it makes it ancestrally boosted every 6 seconds to make it do more AoE and more damage, right? More damage and AoE. Really cool. Could put Bleed on there or something like that if we wanted to. I'm using Bone Shatter with Impact Shockwave, so whenever they heavy stun, which is basically whenever you use Bone Shatter on an enemy that can be stunned, it'll do another Shockwave. So it's like a Shockwave with a Shockwave, which is cool. And it does more damage to enemies that are low, because frequently they'll be kind of low when you go to hit them with Bone Shatter, so it just seems to synergize and do a big execute, which then synergizes with our Herald of Ash, which I'll show you in a second. Shockwave Totem, I love Shockwave Totem. Supported skills have 50% chance to create Jagged Ground, and Shockwave Totem explodes Jagged Ground, so you just have the totem slowing them and then doing damage by exploding the Jagged Ground that it creates itself, which is pretty cool. And then I just have it putting a Bleed on enemies, potentially. This Bleed could go anywhere. It's alright, though. I think it only has a 30% chance to inflict bleeding, so it's like, you may as well put it on something that hits more frequently, and this thing does kind of detonate frequently in an area, so it'll slow enemies, bleed enemies, and blow them up, potentially, which is cool. The big thing about Shockwave is that it detonates your Earthquake, so you could Shockwave Totem Earthquake, and then it blows up, which is really cool, so you don't have to wait that long time for your Earthquake. I'll show you that in a second. I'm using Infernal Cry, which basically debuffs enemies to, when they die, they explode and do damage around them. But I'm also using Infernal Cry with Corrupting Cry, which means it has less AoE, but it also does damage based on my strength as like a bleed, which is pretty cool. And then in addition to that, it will buff other skills that I use after my War Cry, which do more, they make them, those skills do more damage, by the way, just in general. The other thing is, I may strongly want to consider leaning more into War Cries as a way of scaling damage. I haven't really decided about that yet, but there's that. I do have Shield Charge. I haven't added anything to it, but I could. Armor Breaker. I like this ability. It just costs a lot of mana. It doesn't do very much damage, and I think Armor Breaker is really more about using the armor fully broken mechanic to do other stuff, so I'm just not really there yet. But it is really cool that it has 40% more attack speed while dual wielding, because a lot of the warrior abilities are really slow. But Armor Breaker hits fast, especially when you're swinging 2 weapons, and I have 2 big weapons. So I put increased attack speed on it, and then just like every 5th use of it does more stun buildup. Herald of Ash, I haven't added anything to it because I think it makes it cost more. I don't have enough spirit to sustain that. But and then how you activate it is right click it, by the way.
By flame.
When enemies die and you overkill them sufficiently, like with a execute Bone Shatter perhaps, it'll cause an explosion that ignites a nearby enemy's base and the overkill damage. So when something is low health, you execute it with Bone Shatter, it explodes, dealing a whole bunch of extra ignite damage, which is pretty cool. So it's like a bleed, everything burns around it. So you have like, you have your AoE from Warrior, you have your AoE from like Bone Shatter, for example. You know, you have AoE from your Infernal Cry exploding things, and then you combine it with Herald of Ash. So it's a pretty fun, like, group them up and explode them down kind of thing. But those are the gem links that I have right now. I think Scavenged Plating plus Armor Breaker is awesome. It's just, I feel like I take way more damage than I kind of want to, but breaking armor and then getting armor from that is awesome. I love that idea. So there's definitely something there to experiment with. In terms of my gear, this weapon is insane. We crafted this from something that, didn't we craft it from blue? Or we crafted it either from blue or just from white? Oh yeah, no, we used an alchemy orb on it, and it turned into, like, physical damage, accuracy, crit damage, and then I exalted it for attack speed. So this is a crazy weapon. I'm loving PoE, loving it. Just doing a quick little character update before we really dive into the gameplay. I just wanted to give you guys like a little diary entry of like where my character is after one full day of playing. And so far, so fun. I'm absolutely loving it. But yeah, walking you guys through, welcome. Glad to have you. It's gonna be a fun day today. Gonna do a little gaming session during the day and then back in the evening as well. But let's go through this. So weapons insane. Ring is like resistance, life, enemies killed give me life. Not insane, but it's okay. Armor and strength, it's okay. As long as it has strength on it, I mean, it's all right. And remember, strength just at this point is only giving me life, but life is a defensive layer, and that's like one of the main ones I'm rocking because I have no resists or anything. So my resists are terrible, but we have a fire thing to help bolster that. But anyway, helmet gives me armor, mana, strength, intelligence, and regen. I like life regen. That's like a small little thing that helps keep me alive. The chest piece, just a big chunk of armor, strength, a little bit of resistance. All my gear is really bad, right? But that's the fun of early in the game. Life regen amulet with armor and mana regen, that's fine. Life and mana regen is all right. We have fire resistance. I don't know why I have negative fire resistance still, even though I have +6 fire resistance. Why is it negative? Where am I getting negative fire resistance from? That's actually crazy. Is it just like this zone just erodes your fire resistance? Anyway. My other weapon is also physical damage percent with physical damage flat. That's what you want on weapons. You want flat fizz, percent fizz. Accuracy is okay. And then I have +2 level of all melee skills. So if you'll notice, all of my skills are getting +2 from global modifiers. So they're like 5 or 6 level, and then they're getting +2 on top, which I think is actually a lot. It's actually quite a bit of damage. Pretty dang cool. My boots are... You really want movement speed on boots, but they just have a lot of armor and life regen, so I put them on. I also had movement speed boots before. This is max mana. I only really care about life recovered from flasks, so that works. And then for my flasks, we have increased amount recovered and increased charges gained. We just have this little guy. Can I actually put something on here? Oh yeah, we should. Recover 6 life when used, sure. Whatever. And then we have mana, which works. That'll do, that'll do. -10 per act to all, okay, that's why. Thank you. That's why. You know what's really funny? There are some things that are like consistent with from PoE 1 to PoE 2, but people keep asking me if I think it's better to have played PoE 1 before PoE 2, like if you needed to have played PoE 1 before PoE 2, and I actually think in some ways it's better to have not played PoE 1 before PoE 2, because the difficulty and the pace are so much different that it might really throw you off if you're used to PoE 1, which I think is hilarious. And one of the things that I also wanted to mention is that, as you guys noticed, you do want to use these crafting resources. That's like a big deal. When they were talking about Path of Exile 2, they really want people using these and giving us like plenty to use. So that's another thing for new players, is make sure you're using those things. Another thing for new players is if you're finding yourself kind of like having a tough time, like you're getting beat up or whatever, what you can do is you can go to these zones and you can control left click and you can opt to make a new instance of those zones. So like if one zone is you got through it and the next zone is too tough, then you can make a new instance of the zones and just farm that for XP or gems or items or whatever. And then also you can only gamble items from the little item gambler guy once per unique kill or something like that. And so that's another way to sort of reset the gambling thing, is just keep going to a zone with a boss and doing a new instance and farming that a little bit. Because, you know, being at level or even a little bit above level will make it a lot easier for you. A lot of people have been struggling with Warrior, apparently. And to be fair, you know, not everybody's, you know, Warrior's not for everybody, you know? Fair enough. But I think Warrior's been banging, personally. I've been loving it. And I can show you guys, I mean, like, we're going to be doing a lot of gameplay on stream. But I can show you guys a couple of the combos that I've enjoyed. I'm trying to think of what zone we should do. Oh, yeah, we should go, this is kind of an old zone. Maybe we should go there? It looks gray. It looks like I've found them. I don't think that's the case, though. Yeah, it's acting like we have already found the tools. But I don't think that's the truth. Whatever. This zone is kind of sketchy, but we could go over here for a second. Show you some of the combos. So, you know, a lot of what you want to do is probably buff yourself up. Rolling slam, like buff rolling slam is a fine combo. But I find that I do get kind of just beat up when I do that. This is the first time I logged in today, so watch me die. For sure. What I like to do is I like to do Shockwave Totem into Earthquake. And let that kind of just blow everything up. And then use Bone Shatter to kind of clean up enemies. And you can oftentimes just walk up and just smack something. But that's a combo that I like a lot. Is the Earthquake, and then you Rolling Slam on top of it. And then anybody that is still alive after that, you start cleaning up packs with Bone Shatter. So you can just Rolling Slam around and it'll probably get the job done. Especially if you're War Crying before it.
Out of mana.
But one of my favorite things to do is the Totem into Earthquake. And just, you see how the Earthquake goes off like instantly? It detonates stuff. Earthquake is not going off, by the way. There we go. Earthquake into Totem. There we go. So Earthquake into Totem seems to work better than Totem into Earthquake, by the way. But you can use your Totem into Earthquake to detonate your Earthquake a little earlier. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Earthquake into Totem, is that what I was saying? Let's try that one again. There we go. Yeah. So Earthquake into Totem will cause your Earthquake to detonate faster than usual. Because usually it's like this. Kind of sitting there for a while. 1, 2, 3, and then it explodes. But Earthquake, the Totem on top of it, and a shout. That'll blow up everything real quick. It's nice. Then Bone Shatter him. So that's what I've been doing on my guy. And we've been hitting pretty hard. We've been chunking, and I'm looking forward to playing more today. But I did want to give you guys like a quick like build diary update kind of thing. That hurt. And show you guys just a little bit of gameplay, give you guys some general tips. And this is the kind of thing that we're gonna keep on grinding on stream. I'm loving this game. I'm having a blast. But part of the fun of these kind of games is kind of tracking your character's progression and progress over time. And then sharing that with you guys is like really fun for me. But as you can tell, our damage is kind of okay, but we do get blasted, I think. So we're gonna have to work on those defenses today. A lot of that's like elemental damage that's hurting me, but we're gonna get a little bit more health, we're gonna get a little bit more armor, we're gonna get a little bit more like life recovery and regen. That's the main point of what we're doing today. But the overarching idea, what's this? There's a quest here. Anyway, the overarching idea is to continue to stack strength, continue to slam, but instead of going for the slam arcs on the Ascendency, I'm probably gonna go straight up the middle, take the extra inventory, which is kind of troll, but then take all of like just the general buffs from the small nodes, and then go from there. Gonna be a lot of fun though. Gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing this thing bloom and continuing to share things with you guys as my understanding of the game changes, as my plans change, and as just like what I'm doing, like what I'm finding fun changes. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Thank you so much, Prototype. Big flicks for you, showing us love. And of course, if you guys are hanging out, you guys can get your drops, and you can gift 2 subs for the Chimera pet here on Twitch. I think maybe I need to bust that little guy out myself. Do I have a pet I can get? There's that little fella. My Chimera out. Oh, and we get the baby Crowbell too. Do I want to have 2 pets? Not really. But look at that Chimera. He looks fierce. I think all these little pets will freak me out running around. But there, you can get your little Chimera pet. That tail is yucky. Oh my gosh. You can come here and get those pets on stream if you want to. And we are doing a couple more early access keys for giveaways as well. So got a lot of stuff to do. I'll show the tree. Oh yeah. We can show you that, but that's actually what we're doing right now, is giving a little update video. But this is where I'm at right now. The next thing I'm going to do is this, and then we're going to have a look around and see about where we want to bolster our life, our armor, and our recovery today is like the main issues, because we are hitting hard, but we are also getting hit hard. So we're gonna basically just keep pushing for offense until we start seeing that we need defense, and we'll bolster the defense a little bit. But we pushed for the main keystone that I was excited about. Now we can start kind of filling things in. But it's gonna be funny because my tree is gonna be like all in this little zone right here, potentially. But I might shoot down here for the plus attributes, but that's just, I don't think I need that right now. Well, I want to fill out this little pie slice right here. That's all strength, all armor, all life regen, all like damage with two-handed, like stun stuff. Your stun threshold being increased so you get stunned less. You building up stuns on enemies so they get stunned more, like all that kind of stuff. Gave up on blood magic? I wouldn't say I gave up on it, but it's not what I want right now, that's for sure. We don't need to find more ways of making my health bar go down. We need to find more ways of making it go up right now. But I still like that idea, the meathead muscle masher. No mana, just crunch everything. But also, there is some cool stuff if you go up here. Like defending it with armor against projectile attacks and some other cool stuff as well. I mean, like, there's definitely some good stuff, dude. There's definitely some good stuff up here. And I'll have to look into it. But anyway, let us go ahead and dive into actually gaming. And we'll do more sort of build diary entries and build updates probably every day, especially as, you know, we're just diving into our first experiences with Path of Exile 2, which is absolutely tremendous. I'm having a great time. Hope you guys are too. Let's get down to business, and we'll get the build diary entry up on YouTube and keep it going. All right, guys, let's roll.